So in this section, we're going to take rotoscoping to kind of the next level. Remember in this chapter where we were rotoscoping this front edge of the mountain? Well, we're going to take that kind of idea. We're going to mix that with this track matte idea, which we had here, and we're going to create something like this. Oh, and we're going to be tracking too, all in one. So we're building up all of our techniques so we can create something like this, again, from just a single piece of footage. All that coming up right now. So to start off this, we need to start, of course, a new sequence, but we're not going to do it this way. We're going to do it like we've done previously, and that is with the actual footage dictating the size of it, because we can always output in 1080 if we wish to, but because we're rotoscoping, we kind of want every single little bit. And as I can see, we can actually have 6K. Because this was done on a red Epic Dragon. Do you know what? Let's play with some 6K footage. That's going to be scary. Was it that clip I wanted? I saw that clip. I'm going to have this clip actually. So let's add that to cart. And I want this clip just because of the composition of it. And we're going to check out and go to my footage. And oh God, let's play with some 6K footage. Now, if you're watching this in the future, like years in the future, and you think 6K, it's nothing. Yeah, it's quite a bit to me right now, but we'll see. So I'm going to just off camera, I'm going to cut that, and I'm going to paste that into our folder, that one, and let's just bring this across so I'm not being rude. Into video, B-roll, art grid, and I'm just going to paste that into there, and then I'm going to come into here and just put it in footage for now. Good. And we're going to right click this, and we're going to new sequence from clip. Okay, so there's our footage, and yeah, looks good. Lovely colors on this. I really like I really like how it's been shot. I'm just going to close all these so we've got a little bit more screen. And yeah, okay. If that's 6K and we're at 100 there, what is our sequence settings? 4096 by 2106. Remember that 1920 by 1080 is what I've been working in. We're like, yeah, we're quite a bit bigger, but it's exactly the same. Just going to Alt and drag it up and right click and replace with After Effects composition. So now we're in After Effects. What we're going to do is, as you saw, we had the text coming from behind her. Okay, so we're going to build that first. I'm going to build that. And I want to build that in here because we've got a different aspect ratio. If I go to composition and composition settings, yeah, we're actually at a ratio of like 24, but yeah, it's kind of like a cinematic ratio. It probably looks good, actually. This would look good horizontal on a mobile phone because they're slightly taller than 1920. So that probably will display quite well on a phone. So we're going to use this composition to make our text. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this clip for now. I'm going to press T on my keyboard to bring down the opacity. For no other reason, I just don't want it distracting. I'm going to lock it. Okay. So now let's make our text, which is, it says B here and U here, and it moves out. So we're just going to click in here and just type B, U. Okay. And as you can see, it's created a graphic layer, and it's done it for the full length of the composition. Unlike in Premiere Pro, if I click in here and start a text, it only does it for a certain amount of time. Undo that. It does it in After Effects for the whole duration. Right. So let's get back into this text. I'm going to highlight it all, and over in paragraph, we're going to set that to center. But I always do that in the wrong way, because we need to go to a line first, and in composition, we want it centered. it didn't bother me. That's absolutely fine. As you can see, because it's so small, the anchor point is really standing out. So I'm actually going to make sure that that is properly centered as well. And just here, I'm going to go align vertically as well. So it's dead in the center. We might move this depending on how it sits, but this is our starting bit. I'm just going to size this up a little bit. BU. Okay, happy with that. And I'm just going to press P on the keyboard. I'm just going to bring it down a little bit. Now it's not too much of a worry that the Y is directly in front of her, so we'll technically then be directly behind her, because we can always play around with this. And we could obviously click in here and hit a space bar, but it brings that out, and yeah, it's fine. I don't really want to bother with that. But I'm happy with this this text graphic. If you didn't want to then change it, you could then right click this and create shapes from the text, which is all well and good, but I can't then change the actual the font, because it's now an outline and a graphic. It's a vector graphic rather than text. So why would you ever do this? Well, a vector graphic will rasterize better. You see how down here we've clicked on this in the past and it's continuously rasterized? It works better when there's shapes. So if you do want to do this, it might be better to do that towards the end when we know where we're at. So I'm just going to undo that. And just like we did with the image, remember in this composition, and we split the image, or we duplicated the image, that's what we're going to do with our text. Okay, so we're going to select it and we're going to control and D. So we've just made two versions, and I'm just going to rename these. I'm going to call this U, and I'm going to right click and call this B, because B, that layer, although it's both the words, I want B to be the left-hand side, and that's what I'm going to bother about on this layer. Similarly with U, I want that on the right-hand side, and it's all I'm going to worry about in this layer. That makes sense? Okay. I also have a feeling that I'm also going to want to move this out a little bit. No, I'm moving B, but I'm looking at the U now. But I also might want to size them up. In fact, straight off the bat, I am going to size them up. So I'll grab them both and just bring them over there a little bit. I might also bring BE through. In fact, now that they're that big, I don't really like the font. Can we try a different font? See how, sorry, I didn't make that clear. If I just had one selected and changed the font, obviously one would change and one wouldn't. But if I select them both, I can change the font like this. So I'm just going to scroll down. I want something chunky, but I'm trying to avoid Norwester because I know we've used it a lot. Maybe something handwritten. Oh, we've done handwritten in the past. Let me have a look. I quite like this. Where the Chandler 42. I kind of got into it quite recently. It doesn't really work for that though. You know, it's like an old-fashioned typewriter and how the print looks. Chunk 5. Do you know what that looks good? Yeah, you'll already know what I've picked because you'll have seen the preview. But yeah, okay, I'm happy with that. BU. So what do we do now? Well, I'm actually going to hide U, and I'm going to use B, and I'm going to take this text. I'm just going to delete it because I don't want it anymore. I've changed my mind, and I'm going to move that just there. Just so it's like kind of on her shoulder. I'm going to do the same with you. I'm going to hide that, bring that back, and I'm going to click in here and delete that, and I'm going to move that out here. But I'm now going to turn on B so I can see what it's doing, and let's drag that out, and I like that there, because that's actually going to be behind her head. And it's being able to put text in between layers that don't actually exist. If I unlock this and bring back up the opacity, they're going to be sitting behind her, but in front of the background, which really sells it. And that's what kind of sells this whole effect, really. So now that we've got that done, I'm going to go to make a shape. So remember what we did before, click off so nothing is selected, and we're just going to double click here. And then we're going to align. Remember, we're going to align the anchor point to the left, and then press S on the keyboard, unlink, and we're going to bring this back to, not there, to 50. Okay. And you know what we're doing now? We're going to drag this over here, and we're going to label it this time. We're going to say B matte. Okay. And just while we're at it, I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to bring it across above U. I'm going to rename this as U matte. Okay. Just going to hide that U matte for now and actually hide U. And just like we did before, in the track matte, we're going to select our track matte and say alpha matte. So now it shows B. Okay. And we're just going to hide, I'm not going to hide anything. I'm going to bring up U and bring up the U matte, just being a little bit laggy. And we've still got that there. We don't need to move our matte. We just select our U below and we select alpha inverted. And now we have them on different levels. And remember what we did before. I'm just going to go forward a few frames. Remember, going forward and back, or along forward and back, frames in After Effects is not with your cursor, it's with page up and page down. So 1 is 1 frame. If I hold down Shift, it will go 5 frames. So 5, 10, 15. And we're now, actually that's more. That's much more than 5, 10, 15 frames. How many does that do? 10 frames. Sorry. It's 5 frames in, oh God, I wish they had a universal system. 5 frames in Premiere Pro when you hold down Shift. It's 10 frames at a time when you do it in After Effects. So I've got these two. I'm going to select U and Control select B and just add a keyframe to both of these. And I want that leaving there. And I'm going to Shift and page down, page down, page down, page down. So that's what, 30 frames, and set another keyframe with these. Because I've got them both selected, when I select set one keyframe, they both have the keyframe selected. So now I'm going to use this and go back to the beginning. And the last thing we need to check before we start moving these is that we make sure that both our mattes are invisible. Okay, I must have accidentally clicked that, but whenever a matte is active, it needs to be invisible. The reason why is because if I start moving this U, when it's invisible, it can't be seen. However, when it's seen, it actually prints its color on there, which actually could be quite useful for an effect, but we don't want it in this. So let's move this all the way off. I'm just looking at the edge of the U here, and we're going to bring that just about there. Good. Happy with that. And then with the B, we're going to just go the opposite way, keep on dragging. And why doesn't that work? Well, that's because when I turned this on, this matte, it kind of affected everything. So actually, we're just going to say no track matte for this, just going to bring it back and then alpha matte and bring it like that again. It doesn't look like anything's changed, but as I start dragging that off, yeah, I hope that makes sense. Just sometimes these things can change themselves, and then we're just going to do that. Okay, then we're just going to highlight both of these keyframes, easy ease them, and play that back. Good. Now, rather than easy ease, we want to kind of speed up that graph a little bit. So, sorry, I'm going so fast. I'm sorry. We highlight both of these. We don't have to, but it just helps if there's more keyframes, and it just says to the speed graph, these are the ones I want to zoom in on. And I hit the speed graph, highlight this one at the end and just drag it up. Sometimes you can go up or down here. We never want to do that. I've never found a reason why I want to do that. But I've dragged it all the way to the side. And the reason why these are slightly different is because each of these is traveling a slightly different length, a different journey. However, they both start and end at the same time. Okay. Hope that makes sense. And play that back. Boom, BU. Good. Happy with that. And now all we need to do is be able to place them behind our talent. Now this comes the fun part. So Control S, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this track. I'm actually going to hide everything here. But remember that we only turn on what we want to turn on. Must remember that. And we're going to duplicate this track as well. So Control and D to duplicate. We're going to hide this back one and just lock it. And then we're going to bring this right to the top. Okay? Because this is the bit where we're going to actually rotoscope her, our talent, out of this scene. So with this selected, we're going to click on our roto brush and then just double click. So we're right in here. Okay, good. Now, remember what we do. So we're going to get right to the beginning and we're going to hold down Control and drag up with our left mouse button to start painting our talent. So the easiest one is, easiest area is the torso. So just draw a line down here and this will start. Good, that picked up a lot. Just need to draw here and that will pick up her. Good. I'm just going to tilde this to make it a little bit bigger because we want to kind of see everything. And you see how it's picked out the building in the background, which is kind of the similar color to the shirt that she's wearing. So we want to get rid of this. So we want to Alt, which turns it to a minus. And we just draw a little bit here, let go, and good, that's bringing it in. Maybe a little bit more. That's a little bit too much. You never want to undo though. Similarly, that you do want to undo if you've selected something incorrectly. What I've told this system now is that I don't want this, and then it's brought it back here. And rather than undo and try again, we want to tell it, I still don't want the bit that I actually painted here, but I do want here. So we leave it as green and just drag here again, and now it's married it up. If you undid and tried again, you could be repeating that process a lot. So now let's move up to the difficult areas. I'm just going to zoom in with one click, hold down my space bar and drag with my left mouse button. And we're now going to get in her face. So I'm just going to draw a small line through there. Okay, we're now getting parts of the face. It's auto picking up a lot of the face. And now we've bounced out to the hair. Okay, so now is the time where we really need to fine tune this. Okay, and the way to do this is back up here with the rotor brush. If we long press with the left mouse button, we go to Refine Edge Tool. Right, now you can see that our brush has turned blue. And what we want to do is we want to refine the edge. We want to refine where the hair is. That's the most important. So all we do is we imagine where the edge of her hair is and we just start to draw. But as you can see, as I draw, it's blue. And there's a reason for that. And I'll show you once I let go of the mouse button. So I'm just carefully going all the way around the edge, just staying out, not going too much into where we're trying to rotoscope out. Bearing in mind, I don't want to get too close to the shoulders either. So I'm just going to come here and let go. And what this is now going to do is it's going to try and work out where the edge is. And as you can see, it's picked up round here and it's turned it into an alpha channel. Okay, and what that technically is doing is it's saying, right, there's going to be really fine detail here which we need to watch out for. Not just a definite edge like here, but there's going to be fine detail. Now, as I said, I didn't want to get too close to the shoulders. I'm just going to zoom in here a little bit more, spacebar, and drag in with the left mouse button. And I'm just going to do a little blob here. Just click right there. And see if that marries up. Okay, I'm happy with that. There's also a little bit through the hair here. So I'm just going to click here. And okay, happy with that. It's recognizing those. I'm just going to size down my mouse and I'm just going to click a little dot there. A little dot there. And a couple of little dots just here. It may pick it up, it may not. And for this effect, it doesn't necessarily have to be like really accurate, but as accurate as we can get, that'd be great. And okay, I'm happy with that. We've gone a little bit high up with the edge there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to control and left mouse button, size it up. And just like with the other tool, the main brush tool, if I hold down Alt to minus, I can kind of say, well, actually, no, we don't quite need all this. This isn't the edge. This is actually the background. And we can just refine this edge. You see how it's now coming back off there? And it's all about kind of adding and subtracting to this rotoscope to kind of give it as much information as possible without spending too much time. Again, this is another thing that saying like Hollywood, one person would be tasked to do one scene, and would go frame by frame and probably spend about 6 months doing what, like a 5-minute sequence. If 5 minutes, maybe even 30 seconds. So I'm kind of okay with that. But remember, this is only one frame. So we're going to tilde it out of here. And we're going to go back to our main brush tool. I'm going to fit so we can see everything. And as we've gone here, I'm just going to click a little bit along. And this will start propagating. So just in here, and we'll just leave it propagate. It's only 3 frames, but let's see how we're getting on. That seems to be holding okay. We can check this with these little sets down here. So if we click this first one to toggle the alpha channel, that will show us just white and black. This is a Photoshop kind of clipping mask effect. So black is taken out, white is kept. You can also toggle on to see different areas. So this is kind of like a hotspot. Which one's this called? Alpha boundary. So it kind of gives the bleeding as well. You see how that's like that? What we don't want, if we zoom in a little bit, we don't want round here. So I'm not going to go back to the refine edge tool. I'm just going to come with our normal brush tool, hold down Alt and just go, yeah, we don't really need any of this. That's the background. And just kind of, we just update that. Seems to have done it a little bit. If I go into the refine edge tool, you see how we don't have the black halo around her now, but you can see all the purple bits in the strands of her hair. I love this tool, I really do. We're just going to say, no, this is not the edge. We're a little bit too far away from the edge. That was with the Alt key held. And you see how that's now brought back into her. We've got a definite edge here, which is obviously the background. So again, we're going to Alt and drag with, or paint almost with our left mouse button. And that's closed that up. Good. And I just want to, right mouse button, hold down Control, size this down a little bit by clicking, dragging the left mouse button. And we're just going to say, nope, that is not our edge. And, oh, come on, please behave. Just do it maybe a couple of times to go, no, this is definitely not what we want. This is definitely not what we want. Okay, maybe, oh, that's the edge tool gone back in there, but it's actually the brush that has picked this up because it's the definite line coming up from here. So we're just going to say, no, that's not what we want. Good. So that's closed right up to our head again. And as you can see, the propagation has started to move along. So let's click along a little bit further and see how that does. Okay, this looks to be kind of obeying itself. Let me just go to fit, because the problem is when you're concentrating on one area, quite often other areas kind of lose out. And for our purposes, I think we're doing okay here. Let's click all the way up and see how this does as propagating. Good, we're still obeying. There's very little movement, so that's fine. These little bits of hair, they're not too bad. That's fine. I'm okay with that. Let's click a bit further along. Let's see how this does. And just so you know, it's not going as fast as this. I am speeding up in the edit to save your sanity. This seems to really be holding on to her. So I'm going to get a little bit cocky and I'm going to click like even somewhere like here. And let's see how well that goes. It's now 28 minutes past the hour. I'll let you know how long this actually takes. Okay, so that actually only took about 2 minutes, and my system is really quite fast. This can take quite a long time, but I think the effect is definitely worth it. And yeah, okay, fine with that. Let's come up a little bit. Good and happy going along. Everything seems to be tracking okay. We've got a little bit up here, but I'm all right with that. Good, happy with that. I'm gonna take it right to the end and let go. And let's just finish up this bit of propagating. As you can see, it's really held, and it's kind of why I selected a little bit about this footage, because the white really contrasts against everything else, apart from this little thing, which, as you can see, it's kind of held up like a champ. And Adobe Sensei has said, okay, yeah, I get it. This is definitely not part of the subject that you're trying to isolate. So that's all well and good. But I picked this talent because I love her hair, and I knew there'd be quite a bit of detail in her hair. So I wanted to kind of show that refined edge. So good. We've got our green bar all the way up. Everything looks good. The little green bars on top is actually where it's pre-rendered itself as well as the propagating for the rotor brush tool, but we're just going to click freeze now, which takes another while, and we'll come back once each one of these have been frozen. But as you can see, and I'll only speed this up, I won't cut it out, but as you can see, this now goes through and it stands out a little bit more now that we've desaturated the back. I like the way it does that, and it brings back this this alpha channel around here so we can see exactly what it's doing. Okay, so we are frozen out. Everything's good. So we come back to our project and she's gone. Where's everything else gone? So we now have her there. And if we unlock the bottom, we bring back the background. But just let's keep that background back for now and let's just play that through. As you can see, it takes a little bit of time now because it needs to pre-render. So I'm going to hit 0 on the keyboard. And you can see that there's certain points here, and we could go in and we could get these minutely taken out, but I'm quite happy with it. It serves its purpose for us. And if I bring it a little bit into through where the text will be, and it would help if I turned them on. Remember, we bring on the text, not the mats, and it's coming out. That looks good. Right, I'm just going to pre-render this so we can see it properly. Bring that back and just hit 0 on the keyboard. I'll be back when we're pre-rendered. And I just, you know me, I bring it back into Premiere Pro because I just prefer to pre-render it in here. And if we play that back, good, that looks good. However, because there's still this movement, I've got my text tool, still because there's this movement in the camera, we've got all that moving around, and I kind of want to stabilize the lettering. So let's head back into After Effects and let's correct that. And the way in which we do that, by the way, to make it easier, because obviously we have all this, but we have the duplicate, I actually didn't export the background with After Effects. We don't need it. It's already in here. So let me go back into After Effects and let's turn this on for now. And let's hide everything else because we don't need it. That was just the text, so they're not going to be there. And what I want to do is I want to track something around here on this wall. I'm thinking quite possibly the corner here might be a good track, but it is out of focus, so that might make it a little bit difficult. But because we've got the contrasting, yeah, it might help us. So first and foremost, I'm going to go new and null because this is what we're going to add the tracking to. I'm going to set that to center and just center align it just so it's there. I'm going to leave it as null 1. That's fine. So what we're going to be tracking, we're going to be tracking in here. So we go to our tracker and track motion. And now we're in here again because this is the same place where we had our rotor brush, but that's all frozen, so that's all fine. Just going to grab this. Do I need to zoom? Yeah, I do need to zoom in. Control Z. Just grab this here. I'm just going to bring this round and let's move over to this corner. See how it even looks rounded by the time we get here. I would love something a little bit sharper, but could we track her collar? It's all going to be kind of the same, but no, I want to track the background because it'll be moving slightly differently. I'm also looking at this CCTV camera here, but let's see how well this does. So yeah, good. I'm going to track, I'm just going to track the position and we're going to track it backwards because we're a little bit in. So let's track backwards. But before we do, don't forget options, stop tracking if it's below 80. I'm just going to open up this just a little bit and maybe this open up just a little bit. Again, the track will take a little bit longer, but we should get a more accurate track. Let's track that backwards. Seems to be sticking with it. Okay, good. Happy with that. As you can see, our motion tracking has started. We're going to hit U so we can actually see them. Come past here and click back to the previous one. And then we're just going to track forward. And that seems to be doing a good job. Yeah, I'm happy with that movement. All good. It's sticking with it okay. Good. Happy with that. So yeah, good. Edit target. Motion target is null. It's already said it's going to be null, but let's just double check. Yeah, happy with that. And hit apply and say yes, X and Y. Good. So all that information is there in that null. So let's get to a point where we're happy with where the text is. We need to turn on the text again. That one and that one. Let's bring the text all the way out first. Happy with that there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from B and all the way up to the U mat. So all of those, I'm going to right click. I'm going to pre-compose those because obviously we had movement keyframed in here and we can't be affecting that because it would just affect everything. So we're going to move all attributes. Yeah, don't want to open a new thing. We're just going to say, call this text comp and hit OK. Boom, good. We now have all this text within this pre-comp. And if we turn her on, remember, she wasn't on at the moment, so she's there. And I'm now going to pick whip this text comp to the null. So that movement now, see how the words now move with it? Happy with that. Good. It's not showing there, but it is. I'm going to hide that background. Control and S. And what I'm actually going to do with this text comp, I'm going to add a drop shadow. I could do it within it, but I'm just going to do it outside it. And I just go to effects. And is it stylized? It's not, it's perspective, isn't it? Yeah, perspective, drop shadow. That brings a little drop shadow here, bring it all the way to 100%, maybe distance it off a little bit and really give it some softness. And when I bring back that background, you'll see it pops just a little bit where it needs to, you know, the lighter parts just stands out a bit. So save that, in fact, hide that and save that, come back to our Premiere Pro and just pre-render that out again and let's see how it looks. And so now we're pre-rendered out. Let's play it back. That looks great. Really happy with that. Love it. Completely tracked. And we brought our talent off the background so we can put text behind her. You could put anything behind her now. You could put like even a different background if you wanted to. I mean, well, we could even, if we bring these up now and we could create a new color mat and we could maybe pick maybe that blue. I quite like that blue. Hit OK, drop that down and put that right behind her. Disable this background and all of a sudden you have a dark background or a color background. If we pre-render that, which should take be a lot quicker because we don't have the 6K footage behind her as well. Make a liar of me. I'm going to take over 2 minutes. I'll come back 2 minutes later and play that back. And yeah, okay, we have a little bit around here and we could go back and refine this, but I mean, seriously, for the first pass, this was great. Love it.